You've located the VIP. Time to go to work.
What's going on, everybody? Dogman Dan here. We're in Warframe, and we're going to talk about the Plasma Sword. I know, it's not a weapon that anybody talks about. It's a level up fodder weapon, or so we think. I just happened to pull that out of my arsenal the other day. Happened to throw a forma on it. I'm sorry, not a forma, a potato on it. Probably call me crazy. And then suddenly this weapon came to life. And I see this as a damage 2.0 factor that makes this weapon come to life in my personal taste. Now, you've seen me run it on a tier 4 void. You only saw me run it quickly in a tier 4 void, but it is capable of running tier 4s. In the background, I'm going to have some 35 to 38 Grenadiers, and along with Ambulance run in here as a solo too. So just so you can see, it is capable of high level work with this weapon. I only went in this for fun, and I came out with something pretty nice in my opinion. So let's just talk about some of the basics here. The Plasma Sword does come up from alert missions, okay? And it's fairly easy to make, very low resource requirements. There goes my phone, as always. It's got a good status chance. It's got good base critical and chance and damage. It's got the jump attack that has a 100% chance to proc electricity status, which is the stun and chain damage, which is always nice to have something like that, 100% proccing. As I said, it's fairly easy to make. It's got a slower attack speed than we like, but we can work around it. Low side attack damage, or slide attack damage, in terms of things, but we can, again, work around it. Let's not just focus on the numbers per se. So let's talk about this, right? So we could compare this, if you will, against the Prova, which is the next closest weapon to it, and you're going to see some advantages and some disadvantages. So basics are the same on those two. The Prova has a slight advantage in spin attack and attack speed, which makes the Prova nicer. However, the Plasma Sword has the critical and status chance. So if you build this properly, it can be a very decent weapon. What I'm doing with this one for myself is I'm coming up with a corrosive here, 284 corrosive. It's not the highest that I had. I had somewhere in the mid 300s, but I wanted to switch some things around, so I went with the 284 corrosive. Got a 610 spin attack, 569 leap attack, 1139 wall attack, 0.7 attack speed, which I left it at that because I found a way to work around it, because I've got a critical now at 3.8%. Not 3.8%, 3.8 times 24% critical, a decent 33% status chance, which is not horrible. Stamina is down to 8.5, which is nice. It's not using a lot of stamina, and it's a decent 181 in the Conclave. It's not something that's going to go and kill everybody, but this weapon can be used viably with the damage 2.0 system. In terms of stances, we're talking Iron Phoenix for this one. Not too many combinations, just 2 combinations, Winds and Beak, and Taking Flight are the combinations. All this stuff is easy to pull off. The Plasma Sword is it can only attack one enemy at a time, but as you can see in the background, it's not horribly wrong with that one. I don't really have an issue with that. So in terms of build, this is where I'm going with this. I've got a pressure point going in here at 120% melee damage increase off the base, and remember, this is element only, so you can't use your basic impact puncture and slash mods. Next to it, I'm going to use Voltiac Strike, giving myself a 60% electrical damage increase and a 60% status chance. If you don't have this mod, I would recommend the Focused Energy to put that in there, and eventually when this mod does come out into the game, you can always swap it if you'd like. Next to it, I'm going to put Shocking Touch, another 60% electrical damage, giving me the 120% electrical damage. And then I'm going to build in Corrosive for this. I think Corrosive is the best overall for this setup, so I went with a Fever Strike at 90% extra poison damage, and the Virulent Scourge at a 60% increase in poison damage, and the 60% status chance, giving me my 33% status chance and this gives me 140% in terms of poison damage. So this is what increases to my decent corrosive out of it. Now, next to that, since we've built in the base that we can get and we've got a decent elemental, I go ahead and I do the Organ Shatter, which is our critical damage multiplier, so increasing it by 90%, bringing us to that 3.8. And then I add True Steel, increasing the critical chance by 60%, giving us to 24%, which is very decent for a weapon in this type of weapon. So I'm very happy with that. And then finally, for my own personal taste, I go ahead and I throw in a Lifestrike. So we cover base damage increase, we cover double elemental, or not double, we cover the elemental in here, we cover critical, we cover status, and now we cover our butts so we don't die. It's that simple. Lifestrike. I go with a max Lifestrike. For me, this gives me the opportunity to hit those high-level bosses and get the most out of it that I can when I'm doing it. You don't have to run the high Lifestrike, but this is just my personal choice. So this is how I end up with this weapon. And as you can see, it is pretty decent. I'm pretty happy with it. So let me know what you think. Have you ever thought about this weapon into damage 2.0, that type of thing? I think a lot of people just kind of forgot about it, and I'm trying to go back on some of these and see if I can make them into something pretty cool, and I think this one came out pretty good. So let me know what you think. Hit that like button for me if you do like this. It's much appreciated. If you have any comments, as always, please leave them below. If you're not subscribed, you want to subscribe, feel free to subscribe. If you want to share the video, feel free to share the video. Otherwise, I will catch you guys in the next episodes. Until then, we'll see you later.